Hi, welcome back to the CQ University Print Studios. I guess you're interested to see the results of the printing process, but also in this video, I wanted to show you how to annotate your print. Effectively, because you have multiples of the same image, collectors will want to know how many there are in the edition. And as you might expect, there are some standards or protocols around how that might be achieved in I guess, a traditional fine art edition. So let's have a look at how to do that. So here's the final print. The camera's struggling with the reflected light off the white paper. The green's a little bit more of a mid-tone, a little bit more vivid than maybe what's seen underneath the camera there. But of course, you can see the three colours and how the prints come together. Whilst I was printing that, as you note, I decided to print with a couple of different paper stocks. And also, as you can see with this one, it's just the two colours. So the first colour is omitted. And again, that's on the Fabriano paper. And again, variation of the same print, but on a different paper stock, again, the Fabriano paper. And at different stages of the cutting process, I've taken proof prints, sometimes useful, particularly, say, in this kind of educational context, just to see the separations by themselves. So obviously this is the final block with the dark purple colour. Again, it's difficult to see the purple underneath this particular camera. It's struggling with all the reflected light off the white paper, but anyway, that's the final cut on the lino tile. So I have two small editions. Well, one small edition and one larger edition. Editions with the hand printed might be anywhere, say, between 7 and 50 or even up to 60. This particular print on this stock, I have 12 of. So what we want to do if we're looking to exhibit and potentially sell this object when it's in a frame, it's useful to let the buyers know what it is that they're purchasing. So as I noted, there are some standard procedures, not so much protocols, but expectations around how that would work. I have a framed print here. It's an etching, it's not really a lino print, but I guess the purpose is that you can see down below there that this is a print which is the third impression taken from this plate in an edition of 12. You can see that it's titled and also it's been signed and dated. There's a couple of things that's worth noting here. Assuming that we're going to use a more traditional window mount with mat board, it's a good idea not to get too close to your block impression. Leave a little bit of space. I like about 8-9 millimeters. And if that's the case, if we've got, say, a mat which is of a different tonal value, let's just say I'm looking for a color here that picks out maybe some of the secondary colors in the print, it's likely then that the white of the paper might act as, I guess, a bit of a contrast. If that's the case, then the white will jump. And so if we've assigning and dating and putting a title down the bottom, and that writing is rather large, then you can imagine I've got thin white stripes all around, but a big white stripe at the bottom. So it pays to be a little bit conservative with your writing. It might depend on the size of your print to a certain degree, but you can see I've also tried to ensure that that annotation fits within the parameters of the width of the plate in this instance. So you can see, just looking to try and keep basic information that's easily readable, but also effectively pretty discreet. So this particular print is number 8 out of 12. So I'm just going to do the same thing here, making sure I've got clean hands. I'm just going to Note that this is impression 8 of an edition of 12. Don't really have a title for it. Let's just call it Self-Portrait. And I'll date it for this year. So that's fine. It's not too close to the image, but at the same time, it's easily readable, and you can see that it would fit nicely if we were to cut a mat board ready to have this print for sale framed on the wall at an exhibition. You'll also notice that I'm just using a simple HB pencil. If it's too light, it might be difficult to read, and also if you make a mistake, it's a little bit more tricky to amend that, especially if you're working on some of the softer papers. You probably don't need to go into a dark pencil like a 2B or a 4B. It seems to me that a simple HB pencil makes sense. This would be a standard to use a graphite pencil. I would suggest refraining from using any kind of inks or pens. So given that I've got a couple of variations, I've only got, I think, 3 of these. I guess 3 would make for a small edition, but I'm just going to call it variation 1. So here I'm just going to write that rather than acknowledge that it's a part of edition. I'm just going to do variation number 1, and again title it. Let's just say throughout the printing process, as you're proofing, getting ready to do your edition, if you end up with a number of prints that you actually like that don't effectively make it into the edition but might be still useful for sale, those artist proofs, if they've turned out well, given that they're unique, if your print becomes collectible, it's possible that the artist proofs might become more valuable than the edition. So for those artist proofs, effectively, if you're looking to have them for sale, you would note that they're proofs simply by writing A.P. I've got that in capital letters to note artist proof, and the rest of the annotation is the same. So there you have it. Why not? If you're going to the trouble of proofing and you get a couple of proofs that are unique states that are worth maybe having for sale also, maybe acknowledge that simply with AP. The tradition of AP, I guess, has changed a little bit. In Europe, artists used to go to a master printer and a master printer's workshop in order to have their litho plates or their screen prints or their etchings professionally editioned, in which case the artist would go to the workshop and speak with the master printer, discussing exactly what it is that the job entails. Say a week or so later, the artist would turn up at the workshop and have a look at the proofs, if you like, the proof prints, to see if everything's going according to plan. You can imagine the artist has got a very particular colour in mind, or a particular way of maybe wiping the etching plate. And so the artist comes in order to see that everything's going along well prior to making the edition. So the AP in that instance is really referring to proofs that have come off well, making nice impressions in their own right. That might also be available for sale. But in a place like Australia, most artists have got their own print workshops and will, of course, be doing the proofing themselves for their own purposes prior to making an edition. So thanks for joining me on this printmaking journey here in CQ University's Print Studio. I hope that you've enjoyed the process, and more importantly, that all of the information provided has been useful in helping you create your own successful lino print. You'll note, of course, that there are many ways of making relief prints, either using a single block or multi-block. You might choose to maybe make some simpler lino cuts just using one color, or you might test yourself and explore maybe using a variety of different colors, maybe more than the 3 that we have here. If you have any challenges along the way during the production of your print, feel free to be in touch with me. I've got my details on the learning site there for Be Different and this particular micro-credential, but it's p.connor, C-O-N-N-O-R, all in lowercase, at cqu.edu.au. And I'll be happy to help you troubleshoot whatever issues that you might be facing. In many ways, it's a simple process, so long as you've got an eye for detail. And of course, you can imagine that the different tools and materials, if you like, the media that you use, will have a big impact. Sometimes there is some cheaper tools and other times more expensive ones. And of course, often the more expensive stuff will give better results, but one step at a time. I hope that you enjoy using the resources. I'm sure that you've come across many of them already. The downloadable PDFs might be useful to keep in a folder so that you can return to those notes at any time. But anyway, that's enough from me for now. And thank you very much for joining me for Introduction to Lino and Woodblock Printing Techniques here at CQ University. And thank you to Be Different platform and the Flip team for supporting the development of this micro-credential. Anyway, that's enough from me for now, and have fun printing in the studio. Bye.